Hey, what's up, people? Piz out here, and today I want to talk to you guys about Scream Factory's latest collector's edition Blu-ray release. This is for John Carpenter's classic, The Fog. And I'm not going to spend any time talking about the movie. I did a review request of the film a couple of months ago. Go check that back. I'll put a link to it. I'm assuming that everybody's already seen this film. Like I said, it's a classic. If you haven't seen it, watch it, or buy this and watch it. But the Blu-ray special features, as you guys know, this is my thing. Whether or not I recommend this is pretty much solely based on the special features. Because granted, with all these Blu-ray Scream Factory editions, the picture quality and the sound quality are great. And The Fog is absolutely no exception. The picture quality is just beautiful. It's crisp. I mean, I've said this of other Scream Factory releases, but I mean, it looks like this film was shot yesterday instead of 33 plus years ago. So picture and sound quality, both great. Special features are up to par too, definitely. We have a 20-minute interview with Jamie Lee Curtis talking about being a Scream Queen. She talks about all the films that helped establish her as a Scream Queen, from Halloween all the way through to Halloween 2. And what was interesting about that interview really was hearing her talk about the different films. Because I mean, I've never heard her talk about Prom Night, I've never heard her talk about Terror Train, I've never heard her talk about Road Games, really never heard her talk about Halloween 2. She talks about all the films. You get the, well, it's not the impression, she basically says it. She's not a big fan of any of the films that she did of that era, with the exception of the original Halloween. She said she liked Halloween 2 as well, but for the most part, Prom Night, Terror Train, not a big fan of those movies. But yeah, really enjoyed that interview. I went into it expecting maybe 8 to 10 minute interview at the most. 20 minutes, very cool interview with Jamie Lee Curtis, lots of information in that interview. She talks about all, like I said, all the films from Halloween to Halloween 2 that basically established her as the preeminent Scream Queen of the era. She was like, that term was coined for me, which, I firmly believe that it was. And of course, sort of the stigma and the pigeonholing that she was certainly conscious of, being pigeonholed into just a Scream Queen doing horror films. Of course, she dug herself out of that little pigeonhole quite nicely and had a very nice career. But yeah, excellent interview with her. Good stuff there. We have another 20-minute interview with Dean Cundey, where he not only talks about The Fog, but again, all the films that he worked on with John Carpenter, Halloween, The Thing. He talks a little bit about Halloween 2. Again, really nice interview, really in-depth interview, lengthy interview. Like I said, 20 plus minutes on that interview. Good stuff, great stuff. Loved that interview with Dean Cundey. We have a Horrors Hallowed Ground with Sean Clark, where he goes back to the filming locations of the film. That, of course, really cool to see, all the locations from the film, and to see really how little those locations have changed in, 33, 34 years. That was really cool. Of course, Sean Clark's a funny guy, so I mean, he has a lot of interesting things to say, and some interesting repartee with Robert Russler. There's a running sort of joke in all of these Horrors Hallowed Grounds that Robert Russler from Nightmare 2 and Vamp just sort of shows up, and they have some witty repartee back and forth. So that was really cool. Really enjoyed that special feature. We have two special features that were carried over from the old DVD release, which is I believe it's called Fear on Film, The Making of The Fog, which was a 1980 produced like a show, it seemed like, where they interview John Carpenter, they interview Jamie Lee Curtis, they interview several other people associated with the film, the late Deborah Hill. That was pretty cool. There's also very in-depth, lengthy making of documentary where they talk to, again, John Carpenter, the late Deborah Hill. It was done, of course, before Deborah Hill passed away. They talked to Janet Leigh, they talked to Tommy Lee Wallace, they talked to a bunch of people involved. That one also, great special feature. Even though it's carried over from the old DVD release, both those fit very, very nicely. They're both great special features. for the disc, and they deserve to be carried over onto this collector's edition Blu-ray, because it didn't feel like filler, like, you know, oh, we've only got a couple of you know, brief interviews, kind of like some of the other Scream Factory releases, where it's kind of like, oh, we've only got a couple of brief interviews, let's carry over some old stuff to fill it, and here's your collector's edition. Didn't feel like that at all with the Fog, with the special features that they carried over. There is an old audio commentary with John Carpenter and Deborah Hill that I listened to years ago when I first got the old DVD. There's a new commentary with Tom Atkins, Adrienne Barbeau, and Tommy Lee Wallace. It's moderated by Sean Clark. Very entertaining, of course. Tom Atkins is just kind of off the wall. Tommy Lee Wallace, tons of information about the making of the film. Adrienne Barbeau, again, lots of information, a lot of you know, to sort of hear about the making of the film from her perspective was pretty interesting. But yeah, overall, highly recommend The Fog. This is, of course, a classic film. It's one of John Carpenter's best films, and you know, this is the Blu-ray collector's edition that it richly deserves. Like I said, great interviews, in-depth, lengthy interviews, I will add again, with Jamie Lee Curtis and Dean Cundey. The Horror's Hologram was great. The new commentary with Tommy Lee Wallace, Tom Atkins, Adrienne Barbeau, and Sean Clark was fantastic. Just great all-around release. I highly recommend it. You guys go out there, you pick it up immediately. Check out my review request from a couple of months back for The Fog. But yeah, can't say enough good things about it. Classic film, and the Blu-ray collector's edition that it deserves. The only thing missing on this, I will say, is a new interview with John Carpenter, but let that slide. Classic film, great edition, pick it up, The Fog. Until next time, I'll see you guys. Take it easy. Peace. But again, I would be remiss if I didn't mention, as with, of course, all the collector's edition Blu-ray releases, we have the slipcase with the great new cover art, and we have the inside slip cover, which is reversible with the original poster art. So that is very cool. So yes, again, I forgot to mention that, but I will rectify that mistake. And so for the second time, you guys take it easy.